Meanwhile, Trump also appears to be softening his stance in his feud with Pope Leo.
I have no disagreement with the fact the Pope can say what he wants, and I want him to say what he wants, but I can disagree. The Pope has to understand Iran has killed more than 42,000 people over the last few months. Think of it, protesters without guns, without anything. They were totally unarmed protesters. The Pope has to understand that. This is the real world. It's a nasty world. But as far as the Pope and saying what he wants, he can do that.
Pope Leo has been critical of U.S. actions in Iran, which has prompted Trump to level written and verbal attacks at the Pope. Trump says he doesn't think a meeting with the Catholic leader is necessary. So how is it going to play out with a devout Catholic base that was instrumental in President Trump's election? Reverend Michael Coren is an author and a journalist, and he joins us now to talk about this. Reverend Coren, thank you very much for your time tonight.
It's a pleasure.
So you're not Catholic, obviously, but you're certainly well-versed in the subject that we're talking about here. Tell us, how unusual is it to see the Pope and a president of the United States be at odds about an issue?
Well, to this extent, I would say unprecedented. Popes have spoken out about war numerous times. Going back to the threat of nuclear war, popes were outspoken. Pope Francis condemned war. Interesting, Pope John Paul II and Pope Benedict, considered conservative, were very critical of wars in Iraq. Pope John Paul II, 1991 conflict, he was vehement in what he said. And the White House did not like that, but it didn't react with such childishness and personal attacks as this administration.
I mean, as somebody who is maybe completely watching this from the outside, it doesn't surprise me to see a religious leader take issue with the idea of war. I mean, it doesn't seem in keeping with the principles of the faith. What do you make of the back and forth between the two leaders?
Well, I mean, a bit about the faith. I mean, the gospel narrative is one of peace and justice. The Beatitudes sing of understanding and turning the other cheek. And the idea that the leader of the Roman Catholic Church would sit still and say nothing when an unjust war, and I'll get back to that in a moment, is being fought, is ridiculous. The Catholic Church, most Christians actually, have an idea of what is an acceptable war. War, sometimes, Second World War, is inevitable. But is it really necessary? Can the regime be changed? Well, there are 15 million supporters of the regime in Iran. No, it can't be changed. Is it being fought with regret, with glee? Well, some of the statements coming out of the White House are not exactly sad and sorrowful, are they? They're triumphalist, and it's not what you'd expect from a civilized power. Was war declared by an individual, this is important, or by a valid administration? Well, I would suggest that a couple of men with great power launched this war. Is there chance of success? Not really. More people are being harmed. So it's not a just war. And just war theory wasn't invented last week. It goes back to the 4th and 5th century. So no surprise that the Pope is speaking out. Huge surprise that Donald Trump is depicting himself as Christ and taking personal attacks on the leader of the Roman Catholic Church.
What dimension, the fact that this is an American Pope, to what degree is that a factor in this back and forth, do you think?
It's a factor. I think the Pope speaking a colloquial English and American English makes him more immediate, intimate to Americans. But as I said earlier, popes have long condemned all sorts of wars. The difference is the reaction from the White House, not what the Pope is saying, what other popes have said. And to question the Pope's knowledge of theology, it gets to the point where you want to laugh at the situation. And then the picture of Donald Trump, where he said he was a doctor, well, I go to my doctor quite a lot, and I've never seen my doctor dressed in white robes and with little demons and angels floating above his head. Maybe I need a different doctor. But quite clearly, Trump was depicted as being messianic and divine. Yeah, I think you'll find that is unprecedented in the history of the presidency.
Reverend Coren, just quickly before I let you go, I mean, given what's politically potentially at stake here for Donald Trump, do you think this spat continues?
It's a good question. I don't know. The Catholic vote, about 55% went for Trump last time. I don't think that'll happen again for the Republicans, whoever the candidate is, and it may well be a Roman Catholic. The wider issue is that the rest of the Christian world, 82% of white evangelicals supported Donald Trump. Many of those, not all, but many of those, I believe, are having second thoughts about voting Republican. They might not vote Democrat, but I'm not sure if they'll vote for the Republican candidate after this and other things next time round.
Reverend Michael Coren, Christian author and journalist. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
My pleasure.